may not be the most comfortable subject to discuss, but it is something we all need to be thinking about.
That's right. We are talking about planning for your will and deciding what will happen to your assets after you die. Here to tell us how to get your affairs in order, we have President and Certified Financial Planner, the Shakiba Group, Trevor Shakiba. We are also joined with Certified Estate Planning Attorney, Dean Shearer. And Trevor, I want to start with you. Who needs to do estate planning?
Well, you know, the answer is pretty much everyone. In fact, we were trying to come up with someone that didn't, and I guess if you don't have any assets of any kind, then maybe you don't need any type of estate planning or a will. But look, 90% of the folks that I meet with initially as a financial planner haven't done anything. They don't have a will, they don't have power of attorney or anything. And that can be a big problem as we're going to talk about.
Some people may think, though, that if they don't have a lot of cash in the bank, that, you know, financial planning or estate planning is not really relevant to them. But I'm assuming that, Dean, you would also say not true.
Not true. So everybody needs to plan, and you give up control if you don't plan, right? So if you plan, you can control who inherits when you pass away, and if you don't plan anything, then state law decides. So, for example, you may have unintended consequences if you have a step-parent and a stepchild could end up inheriting a homestead together, which is probably not what anybody wants. If you have a will, you're in control of that. You decide who inherits, you decide who's in control of winding up your affairs when you die rather than the state and a judge.
And I will tell you, I am going through this. My brother recently passed away, and my mother and I are having to deal with that. We did find a will, but Trevor, you know, one of the things I've had such an issue with has been he named beneficiaries on some things, he didn't name beneficiaries on others. How important is that?
Well, it's critical. Look, there's 6 key areas to comprehensive financial planning. The last one is estate planning. If you don't have your affairs in order, it can be a big mess, and it can really cause consternation for your beneficiaries.
Oh, yeah.
One of the statistics I like to reference a lot is that 85% of inherited IRAs are completely liquidated to zero within 2 years. And the problem with that is that ordinary income tax brackets come into play. So quick example, if you have $1 million IRA, it hasn't been taxed, you've got a son or a daughter, and they inherit that money, and then they buy a boat, pay off their house, buy a bigger house. You have another beneficiary now. It's called Uncle Sam, and they're going to get $400,000 or $500,000 in that
Oh my gosh,
example.
that is so depressing.
Yes.
So someone like in that scenario, for instance, if they had actually done proper financial planning, then ultimately the goal is long-term stability and wealth, right? Rather than just getting taxed on it.
Exactly. So we call it deferring those taxes out as long as you can in that IRA, or stretching it. If you do that, you can really build wealth, because the biggest component of building wealth is time. Unfortunately, we see this a lot. We were joking beforehand. We start to see black BMWs come into the parking lot, and then we know that they're starting to take money out and getting taxed significantly on those assets.
On the pullout of it.
Right.
You know, it's for me, it's one of those things where you go through, and I think sometimes people think, oh, I'm 20, I'm 30, I'm 40, 45, I can wait to do a will. And, you know, they'll think, oh, that's only for people that are way older, but that's not the case, is it?
No, it's not. I'll let Dean talk about that, because I'm sure he's seen many different
Right. So I don't have a family, so why do I need a will? Well, again, state law is going to determine who inherits. So do you want your mom and dad or your brothers and sisters to inherit if you're young, single, or do you have a friend that you want to inherit, or a favorite charity? So again, it's back to the control thing. If you have a will or a living trust, you control who's going to inherit, not not the state of Texas. Yeah. And back to the Uncle Sam thing, you know, that coordinating the benefits on your IRA beneficiary, your life insurance beneficiary, that's really important to the overall plan, because the will isn't necessarily going to control disposition of everything. So you have a beneficiary designation with your life insurance policy, that might be different than your will. So when you're planning that, you need to take that in mind, keep that in mind, that all of that needs to be thought about together. Who inherits under the will, who inherits your life insurance, who inherits your retirement plan, and you keep that together with your attorney and your financial planner.
Guys, we touched just a moment ago on this, the death tax. Right now it stands at 40% for people who have about $5.5 million. There is a marital, that's a nice word, Derek Shore, a marital deduction that can pass on to the spouse. So what do we need to keep in mind when it comes to this so-called death tax?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is it's stinking high. And a lot of people refer to it as the worst tax. But, Dean, I don't know what you would say to that. But.
So the death tax is something that really applies to the 1 or 2% of the population that estates over $5,450,000, but it is a 40% tax. There is that marital deduction you talked about. What that means in common terms is you can leave all your billions to your spouse, and there's no death tax. But when the surviving spouse dies, then anything over the $5,450,000 is going to be subject to a 40% tax. So it is something that's important to plan for if you're in that kind of a bracket.
How important is designating a power of attorney?
So that's really important. That's really for during your lifetime incapacity planning. If you have a car accident or have a medical emergency, then you can designate again someone who can take control and pay your bills. Who's going to pay your light bill? If you're in a coma at the hospital, who's going to pay your light bill? And who's going to be able to talk to the doctor and make decisions for you? So it's very important.
And Trevor, I know, just going through this personally, of just so much financial stuff coming at you, right. You can truly help someone that's in that situation of an unexpected death or an expected long-term health issue type death with everything that you have to deal with right. Once that person's gone and you're dealing with the estate.
Yeah, no, it's some of the best moments in my career have been helping some of my clients. I had one client that didn't know how to write a check. And just helping her through a very difficult time and then transitioning into retirement planning and saying, you know what, you're going to be okay. We've planned for this. And that's where all this comes into to where it all really, really matters.
Guys, we have to ask you quickly. We're almost out of time. Today's election day. How is the election going to affect things? Because we have two candidates with drastically different ideas about how to handle things like tax rates.
Well, the first thing I would say, and Dean, you can comment on this, but it's probably not going to change because everything has to eventually go through Congress. But I think Donald wants to eliminate it altogether, and then Hillary wants to reduce it, right?
Right, from the $5.5 million to $3.5 million, and increase the tax rate to 45%. But again, Donald Trump would propose to reduce the estate tax altogether. But as Trevor mentioned, in order for that to happen, both the House and the Senate have to pass that, and so chances are we may not have a change in that current law.
Okay, guys.
We'll find out starting tomorrow.
Trevor Shakiba, Dean Shearer. I guess the bottom line is if you don't have a financial plan or a will, get one, folks.
Yeah, you absolutely need it. And you can learn more about planning for your financial future by visiting theshakibagroup.com.